I always think athletes are held to a double standard because you want their behavior to be different, you want their input to be different, you want everything to be different and above and beyond regular students. Regular students aren't bringing millions of dollars in. Regular students aren't getting new dorms built. Regular students are not financing the rest of the entire school.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, and this is a fun one because it just happened. You can pick though. He is the Sting to my great Muta, or do you want to be Muta and I'll be Sting? Which one do you want? Because Muta's retiring and Sting at 64 is still wrestling. I don't know how that happened. All right, he is the great Muta with the mist. To my Sting in New Japan Wrestling, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, Kenji Muto is retiring, and I love the great Muta. I do. And Sting is awesome. Everybody loves Sting. And the fact that he is 64
Still doing it.
gives a great match.
Still doing it.
Man, they blew his booking in WWE. They do it. They blew it. Anyway, how we doing on this Throwdown Thursday, sir?
I'm doing well, sir.
All right. So in segment one, people in my personal life know I like to use the phrase, what are we doing? What are we doing? And we're going to ask some Power 5 schools, what are we doing? So let's just go ahead and get started. We're talking about Florida, Mike. What are we doing? Jaden Rashada, a top quarterback prospect in the 2023 class, has been released from his national letter of intent by Florida and is now free to sign with another team. Rashada was the highest rated signee in the Gators 2023 class in December. He asked for his release after a reported $13 million name, image, and likeness package fell through. State laws prohibit universities in Florida from providing or arranging NIL compensation. Deals are therefore made through third parties known as collectives. The Associated Press reported that the Gator Collective terminated its agreement with Rashada, which was to be paid out over 4 years. Rashada never enrolled in classes and asked for his release earlier in the week. Mike, what are we doing?
I'm trying to figure out what happened. Like,
you are?
How did we get to this point? I need to know. I'm just like $13 million is going to be paid out over.
I don't even know who this kid is.
No, I've never heard his name, and we just lost it.
What are we doing, man?
I'm really trying to figure it out. Like, how did he?
So, fans, the collectives are air quote independent of the school because the school cannot do anything like this because it's against NCAA rules and regulations. So
but it's also against NCAA rules and regulations for collectives.
It's fuzzy wording. You can have a collective as long as they're not, they're working for all sports. And okay, we're going to just move on because I'm just baffled by that one. All right, Michigan, go Big Blue. Michigan's NCAA infraction case projects a prolonged path to resolution after football coach Jim Harbaugh's refusal during multiple meetings with the NCAA this week to acknowledge that he had lied to NCAA investigators, according to ESPN. During an attempt to expedite the case and achieve a negotiated resolution, quote unquote, Harbaugh refused to acknowledge that he had lied to investigators. He has maintained that he doesn't remember the incident in question, which has led to a standstill in the case. An admission that Harbaugh had lied likely would have had him accept a multi-game suspension as he faces potential level 1 NCAA violations. But the potential level 1 violation was added after Coach Harbaugh's refusal to acknowledge that he may have broken some rule.
May have.
This means Michigan faces a long process, and this is going to carry out long into the season. In addition, Michigan's co-offensive coordinator, Matt Weiss, is out after a police investigation into a report of, quote, computer access crime.
Whoa.
Yes, sir.
Whoa.
Yes, sir.
Start that again.
Okay. Michigan's co-offensive coordinator, Matt Weiss, is out. He's not on leave anymore, Mike. He got to go. Based on a report of computer access crimes at the team football facility. He is cooperating fully with the legal investigation. Mike, again, I ask, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't know.
Why are we under investigation? And why are we messing with people's computers at work? What are we doing?
I don't know. It don't make sense to me.
Well,
what they didn't say what it was. Is he doing like a Ponzi scheme or something like that?
I have no idea. I am sure it will come out because people care, but I just want to know what we're doing. And next on the list is Bethune-Cookman.
Oh,
We're going to go there. We're going to travel there, and we're going to do it politely and respectfully. Ed Reed, a Super Bowl champion, a 9-time Pro Bowl selection with the Baltimore Ravens, announced that he will no longer be the head coach at Bethune-Cookman. Reed was tearful during a 15-minute goodbye in front of players and parents. He said, and I quote, "We've been around here trying to change things. My vision for change, probably moving too fast for a lot of people. I'm not withdrawing my name, as they said. They don't want me here. They don't want me here because I tell the truth." Reed also tweeted an announcement that detailed, after weeks of negotiations, "I've been informed by the university that they will not ratify my contract. I was committed to coaching and cultivating relationships with the university, players, communities, and fans." Bethune-Cookman announced that the school and Reed had entered into a negotiation in principle to be the 16th head coach on December 27th. Once they fired Terry Sims, who was the previous head coach, in November after going 2-9 in back-to-back seasons. The decision not to ratify Reed's contract comes after the Pro Football Hall of Famer caused a stir when he went on social media and complained that his office had not been cleaned before he arrived. Reed later apologized for the profanity-laced post and apologized for it again. Bethune-Cookman, a historically Black university in Daytona Beach, Florida, has won 6 MEAC championships since 2000, but has struggled since joining the SWAC in 2021. The program was hoping to find the same success Jackson State did when it hired Deion Sanders. Can you tell me what are we doing, Mike? Any thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I can tell you what's going on.
Talk to me, sir.
I think that the reason they don't hire people like this, and when I say people like this, I mean former NFL guys and guys who of somewhat status, is they can exploit the truth. They can expose the truth. And the truth is our HBCUs are expecting us to do more with less. Our HBCUs think we still on the plantation, taking the scraps from the master and turning them into, soul food. And that's not the case. The expectations is we should be able to put together programs, facilities, athletics, everything the same way as they do at PWIs. And I don't understand the mentality of that, because as Black people or people of color or minority, however you want to say, BIPOC people, we keep saying, why did you?
No, never mind. I know. No,
Black, indigenous.
Yes, I know. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
Mike Francis threw out BIPOC. That was 30 years of a relationship that just flashed before my eyes. So, kid, I'm sorry.
But I'm saying I think that we talk about change, but we want to limit change. Changes should not be limited. That's what happened to us with other people. When they're in control, it's not change if someone's controlling it and someone said, okay, you can have this. Like, don't give me 50% or don't give me what you think I should have. Like, just leave me alone. Like, and if you're
Mhm.
not going to push me to get better, then don't hold me back. And I think at HBCUs, if we had the same amount of money, we would only take maybe 20% of that to put it towards athletics. We put 80% in putting it towards academics, and then we can't get that right because you can't get your bill on time, can't get your bill paid. They're always talking about how you didn't apply for something. Ain't nobody in the office working.
Been
You know
there,
what I mean? So where
done
the
that.
money going?
All right. So I paused on this one and I have my athletic director hat on and I have my administration hat on. One, I'm sorry, Ed, you can't do that. You cannot come out and do that. You do that in a meeting. You do that behind closed doors. You address what we need, and you have to give us an opportunity to address that because obviously we are underperforming, and that's why we need assistance. With that being said, Bethune-Cookman has to do its own homework to know that Ed Reed is going to be boisterous, outspoken, and you got to have those conversations. And it goes back to doing the homework. And at no point did I think Ed Reed would have been a good fit at Bethune-Cookman.
What?
Just period. Just Ed Reed at Bethune-Cookman based on not skill,
Oh
not
man, get off my
resume, not
lawn.
credentials,
Oh man, get
but
off my
are you
lawn.
going to allow him to do, as Big John, God rest his soul, said to me in my face, if they're not going to let you do the job, you
Yeah, you
can't
need
do
to
that
do the
job.
job. Yeah, you gotta leave.
So that's, I knew when I heard this that, wait a second, you got to bow, and admin at HBCUs are dated. They are slow.
They old,
There is a disconnect in
but
a
they
lot of schools, not just HBCUs, between academics and athletics. There's a growing chasm that I have wrote and discussed and talked about for the last 12 years of my life. And the good schools get it, and the bad schools don't. So this was not destined to be successful based on a variety of factors.
nah.
But man, you can't come out on social media and you ain't even sweat and hung out on the campus and said hi to the custodian before you crush them. You you wouldn't even do that, and you're an outspoken. And this is what I want. But you would at least met. Hey, what's going on? How can I help? You would have talked to the custodians. You would have slow walked that process
Yeah,
because the other pieces that's beyond your scope right now, and you've got to come in and figure out what's the best way to do it, and not just throw everybody
yeah. He
under
might
the
have.
bus. You
Maybe
can't cut that promo.
I think that he sometimes we respond with emotions and we respond with some emotions that we shouldn't. That's just
Notice
we
I
as
didn't say he was wrong about not wanting all of the stuff.
right, right,
I
right,
didn't say
right.
that because
Yeah, and we
HBCUs, I've had my own problems in terms of my own research, so I get everything you said. But
Morgan's still trying to ask my daughter, is she from Maryland? Is she in state?
this is the business. You ain't too far gone to
I mean,
understand
come
that.
on, man. She didn't go there the first time. She went to Salisbury her freshman year because Morgan said we never proved that we was in state.
Well,
We
we
sent her a
wish.
transcript, my taxes, and everything. They missed the ball, man. They crazy. They are crazy.
Well, if Bethune Cookman would like some consulting, we charge very good rates, and we want HBCUs, all of them, to do well. But you do have to change some of your business practices, and please stop crying about everything, and just figure it out, man. You
That's
got
the thing.
smart people around you.
Yeah, but we
If you
don't. No, no,
invest
no,
in it,
no. Not related to sports. There are no smart people around you.
yes.
It's getting that's the issue because they refuse to invest in that. They refuse to put money into things like that and get consulting firms. And you see these high major schools, these PWIs have consultants. They go outside the consultants when they're trying to hire people because they want somebody to make the decision for them. Leave the academics to the school, right? And if you're not athletic and you know it, like I just don't, you know, it, it bothers me that we continue to do this and expect something different to happen.
Yes.
It
And as
bothers me that we don't invest the time or the money as we should. And we expect, and we'll hire young guys because they're new in the business and they're trying to get there and they want that youthfulness because that guy haven't lived to see the experiences yet.
Mhm.
Those guys saw the experience to see what it's like on the other side, and they can tell you what's wrong.
Yeah. And the last piece on my note on the Bethune-Cookman and the Ed Reed situation is somebody who lives in both worlds, who has struggled fighting in academia and athletics to just try to I can't even be even the playing field. It's
Mhm.
just get to the starting line. It is sad that we still have these public disputes, and more importantly, the kids are still struggling. You still have the same issues, so we've got to do something about that. But to close this segment, I wanted to give our audience, especially the coaches who sometimes will read the box score, but not everything else, and parents and stakeholders, been some updates in the NCAA. So initial eligibility update. The standardized test requirements for initial eligibility, there has been an update. The council voted to eliminate test score requirements for immediate eligibility for incoming freshman student athletes at the recommendation of the NCAA Standardized Test Score Task Force. The task force was a specialized group charged with reviewing initial eligibility requirements as part of the NCAA's 8-point plan to advance racial equity. Quote, as some NCAA member schools shift away from requiring standardized test scores for general student admissions, the council felt it was appropriate to do the same thing
Right, for
in terms of
athletics.
incoming freshman athletics. So since 2020, the NCAA Division I has waived the standardized test option due to COVID and its impact on the ability of prospects to take the test. So now that change has been made. Mike, any thoughts on that update?
It makes sense to me. I mean, come on. Like, if we're not going to, I always think athletes are held to a double standard because you want their behavior to be different. You want their input to be different. You want everything to be different and above and beyond regular students. Regular students aren't bringing millions of dollars in. Regular students aren't getting new dorms built. Regular students are not financing the rest of the entire school.
Mm-hmm.
They're not paying salaries. They're not paying all of that. They're not allowing you to divert funds other places because the money they're bringing in. So I think that if we're going to say, all right, we're going to get rid of test scores, let's not make athletes still have to do the same thing if students aren't.
Now, with that, Mike, I will say, and I want everyone in our voice and power, that's to say, in my earshot to hear. Still, to me, CKA Safe Project, the best way to assess initial college readiness is your core GPA. That is your GPA in classes like math, science, social studies, English, and foreign language, especially if you have prefixes in front of those classes. As a college coach, as a recruiter, that told me more about you than your test score, because that's one day in
Yes.
May.
Yep.
That's one day in April. So still, I encourage student athletes to challenge themselves academically, because that's the college readiness piece that is really missing, because you will challenge yourself athletically. You will play on club and travel teams, travel the country. And we've got 8th graders missing to go to the Pee Wee Super Bowl, Tiny Mites, 13U, whatever. But you won't take an honors class. You won't challenge yourself and take an AP class. You won't stretch yourself academically. And then when you get to campus, part of the divide with the professors is they're looking at your grades, which may be a little barbecued, a little cooked, a little,
Tidy Mike.
you know.
I'm sorry.
And you can't do whatever your transcript said you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got a problem. So again, get the bag, do all your NIL, whatever, but you've got to take that academic piece seriously, because that's actually the majority of your life in college. So with that, there's one more rule that I think will be of interest to you, sir. Coaching limits. The council also voted to eliminate the voluntary coach designation across Division I and instead include those coaches within a new limit for countable coaches in each of the applicable sports. So by adopting this proposal, the number of countable coaches in baseball, softball, and ice hockey increased to 4 in each sport. The council rejected an additional increase to 5 countable coaches in those sports. The council, hold on, by adopting the coaches in baseball, softball, and ice hockey increased. So I'm sorry, they increased that number. The council also supported the increase of 2 coaches in men's and women's basketball. These additional coaches may engage in coaching activities, but may not recruit off campus. Keep that in mind as some of our players rise the ranks. The rule change codifies a waiver in these sports, allowing non-coaching staff members to engage in skill instruction. And football, subdivision football, the council redefined graduate assistant positions to graduate student coaches and limited individuals to serving 3 years max in that role, which means you got to get a degree because you're the graduate assistant.
Yeah.
Men's and women's basketball opted not to impose the current 7-year window for manager positions to increase the opportunity for former student athletes who often compete professionally overseas immediate after college and then return back to campus to pursue their degree. And women's basketball specifically, the professional development of the manager position is considered an opportunity to increase gender and racial diversity of coaching staffs long-term, which is a specific objective. So they're adding a couple of coaching positions, Mike. Any thoughts about that?
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. I think we'll be able to improve athletics. Maybe we'll get somebody who's just working on post work. No, I'm joking. But no, I think it's good. I think if the schools can afford it, I don't see why we limited it anyway. Like schools hold, like I told you about change, they're holding back a lot, you know.
I like it's not a recruiting position. One of the biggest things is the on campus. Yeah, you're not leaving the building. The student athletes in your building need supports. They need people there for them
all the time.
So not everybody's out on the road. I mean, you need people there.
That helps with recruiting. That means you can do a better job recruiting. I still don't understand why we limit. If I'm a paid coach, why should I be limited? Why should we be limited to who's going out on the road? I just don't get that. I don't understand why it's a problem anyway. So even if that, let's like if I were the head coach, that's when I would step in and spend more time with the players while I got the coaches out on the road. Like, you know what I mean? That would be me. As far as practices, as far as anything, meetings, team meals. Hey, you need to go see this kid. Let's get the calendar together. This is bonding for you as a head coach for your players. Yeah. That's what I think. And yeah, two extra positions. That's good. Maybe there's one for you. There's one for you right there, bro. Think about that. When's that go in effect?
Always. It's in effect right now. So when we get back, we're going to talk about some college football teams gearing up, making some off-season moves that I think we're going to talk about in the fall. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler and Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Go read something, bro.
Welcome back to the Eye Coaches Podcast. This is segment 2. We're going to talk about some teams gearing up, man. And I got the coach himself with me, Coach Franchise. So he's going to let us know what this really means. So we're going to talk with the national champions, two-time defending champs, Georgia. Georgia Bulldogs center Cedric Van Pran is returning to Georgia next year. One more year. He is 6'4". He is 310. He has completed his third season. He has started as center the past 2 while serving as co-captain. He is listed as their number 3 draft eligible center, according to Kuiper and McShay from ESPN. And he's the 74th overall prospect. Now, centers, he's the best center, but he's a 74th overall prospect. So is that 3rd round, 4th round?
Yeah,
Is this a big move? Is there a way he can move up the draft board? What do you think about this player coming back for Georgia and its impact?
He right there, but I with the way we got the new rules in the NILs, like I would see more kids coming back. I would encourage more kids to come back if you're not guaranteed like up there and you're playing a guessing game. Tom McShay and all them dudes I would come back. You know what I mean? I would, and I think that coming back at Georgia, you think they can go for 3? Just put them for 3.
Man, to have 3 national championships on a resume, whether you play football or not, that's pretty blasted.
I don't care what sport it is.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
So, all right, but yeah, that projects to be a 3rd round day 2 guy. So he's a day 2 guy because I think they do 1st round the Friday, day 2 is 2nd and 3rd or something. And then they do like 3 through 7 or 4 through 7 the last day.
Yeah, you get like 2 minutes to make a pick.
Okay. All right, Colorado. So Deion, we talked about his coaching moves last week. Now we're talking about on field. And again, tell me what a big deal this is. Colorado flipped 5-star cornerback Cormani McClain for Miami, giving Sanders his first 5-star as Buffalo's head coach. This guy is the number 4 prospect overall. He's the highest ranked recruit Colorado has brought since ESPN started rankings in 2006. He committed to the Hurricanes since October, was originally planning to sign with Miami in December, but abruptly decided to wait once Sanders was hired at Colorado. McClain's mother tweeted on the first day of the early signing period that there'll be a change of plans and McClain would wait to sign his national letter of intent. Sanders continued to pursue the number 1 corner in class, even getting McClain to do snow angels on a visit to Colorado. McClain made the flip official last week when he announced he would play for Sanders. Sanders also has Travis Hunter, who flipped from Florida State to Jackson State, the 2022 class. So pretty much he has 2 top 5 recruits at cornerback. At his introductory meeting that many people yelled at him about, Sanders promised he would bring in his own players. I believe he said luggage, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
And it's Louis Vuitton.
And more talent to help improve the program. And it looks like he has done that. National letter of intent can't be signed until February. But Mike, tell me about this move, man.
What you want to know?
Oh, I want to know how
football.
big a deal this is, baby.
It's a major deal. It's football. It's what you need in this day and age of RPOs and things like this. You got to have guys who can cover. And most times teams shut down. Like Prime, when he played, you knew that side of the field was shut down. Like everything was going backside or you were going away from your primary receiver because he played Cowboys and Indians with him, which means he wasn't a left corner or right corner. He went either way. Wherever that guy lined up, he matched. So wherever you put your Cowboy, I'm putting my Indian. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to do that to move around. But that also means I can move him to put my best receiver on this side to get Deion on that side, and it leaves me to the right side, wide open. You know, I can scheme just to one side of the field. Now, if you got 2 corners that's very good, I hope your tight end is good.
Okay.
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
Because if you got two lockdown corners, you're not gonna be able to throw the ball. So when I go down in there and I get them defensive linemen like Dion, and that's one of the things he said too. You gotta have them big boys up front, the meat eaters, them uglies. You gotta have them big uglies up front. Because if I can shut down the pass and now I make it difficult for you to run, yeah, I'm gonna make an impact first season.
And he got Alabama's I forgot which defensive coach he
Defensive
has.
coordinator. He had
Uh,
the D-backs coach and assistant defense coordinator.
Yeah.
So now that's his defensive coordinator.
Oh my goodness.
So he got him. He's just got to shore up the line. That's the biggest thing he's gonna have to do is shore up the line, both lines. If he can get some depth at both lines, it's going to be a problem early because he already got a running back. You know.
Yeah, we call it. And again, fans, this is why you listen to us every week. We give you little nuggets, and like, wait a second, he did get a running back from insert school, and these are how the pieces are being put together. Okay. And my partner is one of the best coaches in the country. So we're gonna move on to Missouri. Mike, this one gave me extra pause. Okay, so I really want to know what you think about this. Former Miami Hurricanes quarterback Jake Garcia has committed to Missouri, sources told ESPN. Garcia is a former top 25 recruit in the class of 2021 who entered the transfer portal. He chose Missouri after what they called a shotgun courtship, and sources say he's expected to enroll there by the end of the week. Garcia redshirted his first season at Miami. He played 8 games last year. He will be immediately eligible for the 2023 season, and he has 3 seasons of eligibility left. He's moved a lot. He attended 5 high schools from California to Georgia in 4 years. That includes moving from the West Coast of Georgia to play during the COVID season. At Miami, he showed flashes of promise. In high school, he received offers from Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, Texas, and USC. He committed to the Trojans first before flipping to Miami. And at Missouri, his immediate enrollment means he plays for the Tigers this spring and will compete for the starting quarterback job. The incumbent Missouri has, Brady Cook, had a solid sophomore year, throwing for 2,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Mike, talk to me. What are we doing?
Them ain't bad. I mean,
this never mad at a kid.
Okay.
This is a lot.
Okay. It ain't a lot. I mean,
he went to 5 high schools, Mike. And then he committed to USC,
but see,
then went to Miami, and now he's at Missouri.
But see, by today's standards, that's just him trying to find the best fit for him, and he didn't make it. But I don't know if I would recruit him. I'm not saying that it ain't. Okay, what I'm saying is this is more of the norm now, but I'm not saying I would recruit him because he's not showing any commitment. He's not showing anything like that. Like, soon as the shit get hard, he leave, he gone somewhere else. So I'm with you on that aspect. That I would not recruit him, and I know you wouldn't either.
That's Adams rep is again. Good luck to him. But now I'm kind of paying attention to Missouri.
Why?
I like this stuff.
Oh,
this is strictly for entertainment purpose only. The kid, the sophomore, looked like he had a good season. Missouri won a couple of games, 14-7, and he should get better. And it's not like they're going to be the only quarterback. I mean, Max Duggan goes after a national championship, and he was back up. So, all right, let's go to Ole Miss.
Yeah, and you see what they got him.
65. Oh, Molly. Okay. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin scored big in the transfer portal when former Oklahoma State All Big 12 quarterback Spencer Sanders said he's coming to the Rebels next year. Sanders thinks he fits in well, and he is the second heralded quarterback in a week to join Ole Miss. Walker Howard's a former 5-star recruit. He announced last week that he's transferring from LSU to Ole Miss. Jackson Dart transferred last season to Ole Miss from USC, and he is the Rebels' returning starter, throwing for 2,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Talk to me about that quarterback room, man.
Quarterback room going to be all right. I don't know if Lane getting them, though. I don't know if he got all of them. Well, first of all, everybody ain't going to play, so it's going to be interesting to see. What's going on at LSU?
I don't know, but we're going to find out because the last team we're going to talk about in this segment is LSU, and LSU has bolstered its defense for the 2023 season by adding Oregon State transfer linebacker Omar Spates, who was a first-team All Pac-12 selection last year. Spates, who led a much-improved Oregon State team with 83 tackles last year, entered the transfer portal. He is a Philadelphia native. And he had 308 career tackles, including 25 tackles for loss and 5 sacks, go along with 3 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries. He started 6 games as a true freshman in 2019, became the full starter the following season, and he also earned honorable mention All Pac-12 as a sophomore in 2020. So although some people seem to be leaving LSU, we also have some people coming. What do you think about that move before we close this segment?
I think Mr. Spates understands he will not have a chance to win a national championship in Oregon State and decided he wanted to come back this way, play in a better conference, the best conference there is in college football, kind of judge yourself accordingly and help with your draft status. To be honest, let's be real. Like I one of the biggest things I wanted for AJ was to go to Florida. They wanted him. They offered left tackle. He would have played. That's SEC. You show you can play. Check, cha-ching. You getting drafted. You know what I mean? This guy's got drafted out SEC that never played a day, never played it down. But it is what it is. It's the business part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So leaving Oregon State as the best player, you already know that. That's going to be a part of your resume when you come to an SEC school. So now you can parlay it into bigger things.
All right. So when we get back, fans, we're going to ask my partner, should Oklahoma and Texas stay their extra year in the Big 12, or should they go to the SEC earlier? We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, should I stay or should I go early? Should an early exit by Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 be agreed upon, the negotiated final penalties associated with the departures will be utilized to aid conference expansion. So remember, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia all agreed to share a portion of their media rights distribution with the Big 12's existing deal with Fox and ESPN to make it possible with the league's recent expansion, with BYU coming in, Cincinnati coming in, Houston and UCF all joining in the 23-24 season. The vote, believed to be held last year, was 8-0 in favor to move, with Texas and Oklahoma abstaining. So each of the 8 legacy teams agreed to forego $16 million total, $8 million annually, 23-24, 24-25, approximately 19% of their annual distribution. Each of the 4 new members are set to receive $18 to $19 million annually. So with these teams coming, should we kind of try to push Texas and Oklahoma out early? Because if they were to leave after the 23-24 season, they would be on the hook for an early termination fee, which is about $168 million, Mike. However, such a penalty would be negotiated down about 60 to 65% because nobody pays the full price. So since nobody pays the full price, And money is running all of this. And don't forget the TV partners. ESPN has Texas and Oklahoma's rights as a part of the SEC deal.
Yeah.
CBS Sports reported last month that the compensation could come in non-conference games. With all of that being said, why don't we just say,
Let him go.
how are we just gonna get out of this thing?
Let him go. Let him go. You got teams coming in, let them go. You get off to a fresh start, they get off to a fresh start. Just let them go, man. Why are we playing the game? Remember I told you about people limiting change?
But what about the money?
What about the money?
It's going to come back to it because nobody's talking about going to class. Nobody's talking about the student athlete experience.
Ain't nobody said nothing about no study hall. Ain't nobody said nothing about no test scores. Nothing about no reports, the writing lab, nothing.
This is crazy. All right. So I do want to let you know that BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF will receive a full share of media rights when the new deal kicks in the fall of 2025. That full share will be $31.6 million annually. Big 12 officials believe the all-in figure would approach $50 million per school once the NCAA tournament and the college football playoff revenue kicks in. So you also have heard that Texas and Oklahoma have no desire to play the 4 new Big 12 members, although they've already committed to the league for the upcoming season. The conference is in the process of finalizing schedules for all 14 programs. So, yeah. So Mike says, just screw it, figure it out, figure out the buyout that you're going to actually pay and move on. Is that where you are?
Yeah, just let's get it over with, man. Let's move. Like if both parties are in agreement that it's not going to work, just let it go, man. Let it go.
I am in full agreement. And speaking of letting go, we're going to let go of this episode. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care. And remember, it's all about the kids.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.